Hello everybody, welcome. I'm joined by Beard today again as we design our second investigator in a cycle of 5 investigators that we have the deck building for and everything, so it's going to be pretty sweet. There's a link down in the video description to the first one where we designed this investigator. She's subject to changes still, all of these will be once we get into actual playtesting, but she's just loaded in and then you can see her. But while she's loaded in, how do you think, after some time, how do you think Delphine turned out? What do you think of her, Beard?
I'm pretty optimistic. I think she's going to have a very interesting play loop compared to a lot of mystics and a lot of fighters.
Yeah, I agree. I think the snake asset that we have for her, too, is pretty cool. I was looking at it today, and I was like, that's pretty clever, yo. I actually think that's pretty sweet.
Yeah, it's a good design.
This guy is... so my idea for this is there's a character in Cthulhu Death May Die, and his name is Steve, and he's like a rugby player. And his whole thing is when he moves into a location with an enemy, he can deal damage to that enemy. Damage in that game is a lot like... it's a die rolling game, so it's like it grows on trees in comparison to Arkham. So I don't know how much we're actually going to be able to directly translate like that strategy into this. But I did tell you I had an idea that's just like, well, we could be like a starting point that we can then like go off of for this. And then I'd love to hear if you have any ideas too for this. But like my idea was like enter a location with an enemy. Deal it 1 damage. If that enemy had a fight value of 3 or higher, take 1 direct damage. So that was kind of like, I thought like, was like a base. This was my initial idea of something to potentially experiment with, but I'd love to know what you think, if you had any thoughts about this.
Well, let's see. Now, let me ask something real quick. Do you want the triggering window to trigger if he moves with somebody engaged with him?
Oh, yeah, that would be cool. So he, like, tackles them into another location? Oh, okay. Okay.
It could be something to work with there.
All right, I'm gonna put this into our comments. I'm just gonna keep all of our little ideas here. But I actually like that as well, right? Where it's like, after you move while engaged with an enemy, deal that enemy 1 damage. So like he literally just like tackles them into another location.
Yeah.
Okay, and we already know for people at home that this guy is going to have Rogue and Seeker level 0 cards. He can choose one of the 2 to play. So he has like that movement tech that comes with it.
Now, since he's a football player and sort of like Rita and Pete Sylvester, it'd be funny if he's like yeah, he's a big linebacker, but he's also like a humanities major or something. So that's where the Seeker part comes in.
Yeah, exactly right. Like he's a smart guy. Okay. After you move, I like both. I like the flavor of that. So it's also very like we have the idea of the tackle, but I feel like this one is kind of like easier to trigger. Like you have the attack of opportunities you need to like be prepared for, but there's also ways for you to circumvent those attacks of opportunities, right?
Yeah.
And also works really well against 1 health enemies too. Like they just die for you. It's kind of like Daniela, right?
A little bit, yeah.
Yeah.
And also, now that I'm thinking about it, it could also deal damage to like a massive enemy as you're moving out. Just a little hit as you're retreating.
Yeah, definitely. I just got here, so I have no idea what's going on, so please ignore if I'm being dumb, but what about a push effect? I feel like we might be able to, like, further, like, potentially with his signature, right? Like, we might be able to further push, like, the idea of, like, him tackling or, like, pushing an enemy away. Yeah. I think there's definitely something there for that we could explore with it.
He seems like a guy who would have an event signature.
Yeah, for sure. I also feel like he's got to have like he has to have a traditional survivor stat line. This guy isn't gonna be like a 5-fist guy at all. I feel like he should have 4-fist.
Yeah, 4-fist for sure.
Yeah.
You don't get that big with 3 and less.
Exactly right. I kind of want to give him like 2 willpower then.
2, 3, 4, 3.
Yeah, we could do something like that. That's a pretty survivor stat line. I'm sure there's many survivors who have this.
I don't know. Survivors tend to be higher on the will side.
Yeah. I do like him having the 3 book, though, to kind of fit with the flavor for the guy. And he also can get seeker cards, so, he can even hold a magnifying glass while pushing people out of the way.
He's worked with the university medical team looking into blunt force trauma.
Yeah, exactly. He's like, I am making sure that I am the healthiest that I can be in the future after playing football for all these years. And then he just runs headfirst into an acolyte, and he's like, you're coming with me.
That reminds me, I just got a notice that my dentist was retiring, and his replacement used to be a hockey player, and now he works on teeth. That's just
I mean, if you if you love something so much and you keep getting your teeth put back in, that seems like, I trust that guy. If you love it, do it every day of your life. That's really funny. Okay. Someone's saying in chat it could also be the other way around when you move an enemy from your space. So how many effects do that? There's Bum's Rush. Or Bum Rush, I don't know whichever one it is, but...
I think the card is Bum's Rush, but it should be Bum Rush.
Yeah. Are there other effects that move an enemy from your space? Because, I mean, like, this guy, he can't play Bum... Yeah, it seems pretty, like...
Yeah, I like the idea, but...
Vamp.
There's only a pretty narrow band of cards that actually move enemies.
Mm-hmm. Especially in the Survivor main. Like the Survivor... Yeah.
Like higher level Rogue and Seeker things that move them away, and he's only getting level 0.
Yeah. I think especially, too, with, like, the Survivor part of... So, here's the thing, though, that also is... Why I kind of liked this idea, and I'm curious to explore it more, but when he also takes direct damage, but I guess the idea is that that kind of comes in the fact that, like, sometimes you're just going to provoke attacks of opportunity to represent, like, that survivor soak part of his build, right?
Yeah.
So I suppose that is there for that.
Speaking of soak, he should probably be like an 8/6 or even a 9/5.
Yeah. We have a lot of 9/5 survivors that are combats. I don't mind him being an 8/6.
Works for me.
I think that's a bit more interesting than having another Rita and a Silas, right?
Yeah.
All right, let's.
By the way, the ability should be after you move while engaged with an enemy, colon.
Ah, yes, yeah. They don't follow grammar. And this one's a capital, yeah.
Yeah.
It's game text. It's got to be that way. Yeah, I agree with that as well, Dice Gods. 9/5 with this ability means you never use this ability with an enemy that deals horror. Yep. Until, of course, you get good old Peter Sylvester in play, and then you can't be stopped. But that's... I mean, in theory, that's not even a problem anymore, because soon Peter Sylvester won't be real, right? Potentially, though.
What's that or Dunwich?
Pardon? He's Dunwich, yeah, he's Dunwich.
Oh. Well, we better use Pete while we got him.
I did read in the article, which I'm going to be talking about later in the stream, that it did say that each release, like Marvel Champions and Arkham, are going to choose like some evergreen sets dependent on the design team. So there's a chance they might keep like Dunwich or Carcosa in stock forever. We'll have to remain to be seen. Yeah,
because I know like Dunwich had Charisma, which I mean they put in the new revised core set, but there's a lot of cards that are just still used today, like Shriveling.
Yeah, so it's like one of those things that remains to be seen, but it would make sense to leave like some of the, like I could see them keeping like even like a Dunwich campaign or Carcosa campaign just in print because it probably sells well, right?
Yeah.
Carcosa especially. But yeah, and also it's like what you're saying, Dice Gods, you're 100% right. There are a dozen Peter and Jessica Survivor characters. Like, it's just like, it is part of the class at this point. And Crispy, the too long didn't read is that they are retiring some products going forward for LCG lines to have it be sustainable into the future, because they cannot keep everything stocked because it's just a waste of money.
Yeah, I figured the main reason that they decided that was just trying to deal with the massive debt that Asmodee dumped on them.
Yeah. I mean, it makes sense, too. There's, like, no game that has, like, except for maybe Dominion, that has... But even Dominion, like, I count the number of SKUs they have. It's crazy how much they were trying to keep in stock all the time. It does not seem like... It seems like the right choice, even though it's a little bit, like... It's a bummer for new players who are going to get in the future, but it makes sense.
Well, hopefully that means it's reopening design spaces for future sets.
Yep, agreed. All right, is this it? Like, I'm just like looking at this guy, I was like, is this really like I mean,
he doesn't need to be too complicated.
No.
And then throw in an elder effect that's like, you may move after resolving this test.
Yeah. Yeah, because I was even looking at like the Guardian, like the Mystic one was tough once we got to the signatures, so maybe we'll see a similar thing here, but his baseline seems pretty good. All right, so yeah, let's do Eld. And then just join me for a second, just so I can come over here, back our Mystic one. I want to just copy it. Bummer for new players that miss out on some stuff. Also more attractive for new players to hopefully get aboard. Agreed. And also, I think like as you get older, I used to be like, I need everything, and now I'm like, I don't need everything of everything I want. All right, Elder Sign Effect, there we go, just so I can copy the text. So he's a Miskatonic University football player? Yeah, he's probably definitely going to be Miskatonic, because then he can play Library Pass, which is very important for him. All right.
First book he's renting, How to Read.
Yeah.
Oh no, they didn't cover this chapter yet.
So here's a thought too, because I like the one like you may move, but what if it was also like if you are engaged with an enemy, like positive effect, right?
That could also work. I'm just thinking of all the elder signs that are out there. Like, I can't imagine how many times I've like played Finn and drawn the elder sign. Oh, there's nobody evaded right now. Oh well.
Yep. But I mean, like, it allow us to push it harder, right?
True.
Like we could go like, I mean, like, here's I think an interesting question that I think is really fun now that we know the back of the designers. Sorry, of these investigators. We both know our own backs, but I don't know your back. You don't know my back, and that's probably for the best. But with this one, like, because we know the back of the investigator card, what if what's an effect that can like that exists between the rogue and the seeker class that they kind of share, right? I suppose it would be the move, Frank, so we could do that. But like, when I think of rogue and seeker, I also think of like card selection, which survivors don't really get, but like we could have that kind of come from those on his front side, which I think is a very interesting way to approach these kind of things now that we know.
You could also do like a clue moving effect too.
Yeah. I was okay. 1 second. Is this crazy? I'm just gonna let me just get this in here too. Like, what if we just gave him Eureka on it? Like, it looks strange because he's a survivor, right? But then when I keep in mind that he's a rogue or a seeker, just again to like push the thing. But is that too much? It might be. But what also thinks this is I like the signature of what we did with Delphine, where it had that survivor synergy of discarding cards from your hand, right?
Yeah.
So I'm just like, for moments where we can find that. If you're going into the rugby thing, you might want to lower book and increase his foot. I don't want another 2-2-4-4. It's kind of the thing. We already have that with Silas, right?
What about readying assets?
Ooh, ready an asset you control. What are some notable exhausts that you're thinking? Is there any exhaust that you're thinking, or just is that something that...
Not particularly. I just know that a lot of rogue items exhaust to do things.
Mm-hmm.
And I know there's already some seeker stuff that readies items, but they're usually like level 1+, so that could kind of cover that gap.
Yeah.
And of course, there's a bunch of survivor stuff that could be readied.
Yeah. Okay, I think the if you are engaged with an enemy is interesting to me. Because it reminds me of like Zoe and Nacho, right? Where, yeah, they have like, it's kind of like you miss them sometime, but like when you hit them, you're like, oh, I feel like it's Christmas, you know?
He looks like a man who enjoys Christmas.
Yeah, he does. He's a family man for sure. Plus X if you're engaged with an enemy. I'm trying to think of something more normal, like something more exciting than what I would always bitch is just like draw 2 cards.
Oh, wait. What about like exhaust an enemy but stay engaged with them?
Okay. Oh, yeah. Okay. Okay. Okay, yeah, what if we like, I kind of like that, so what if we even go like this? If there is an enemy at your location, exhaust it.
Should probably be non-elite.
Yeah, if there's
a lot of that's kind of clamped down.
Yeah, I agree. Bryn would appreciate that. Location, automatically evade it.
I remember how quickly they had to taboo Trish.
Okay, I like this. If there's a non-elite enemy or location, automatically evade it, you may engage it. That's interesting. I think that's really neat. And I think that this could probably be worth like a +2, right? Because most of these things, if they're kind of niche like that, it could be a +2 for it.
Yeah. I would change it though. I'd say either you get the automatic evasion and engage it, or you don't evade it, because otherwise that might be a little too powerful.
Okay. The only thing I'm thinking about the May is because of deep ones, but I guess it could just have to happen, right?
Yeah. Well, in that case, you just have to choose not to automatically evade them.
Yeah. So sorry. So what you're saying? If there's an enemy at your location.
You may automatically evade it and engage it.
Okay, sounds good.
Just so it's either both or none, but you still get to pick.
Yeah. Okay. You may automatically evade and engage it. We don't need the two its because it just sounds gross. If there's a non-elite enemy or location, you may automatically evade and engage it. Okay.
Question in the chat about ignoring enemy engagement effects. I think that'd be interesting, but outside of Innsmouth, I can't think of many enemies that have engage effects.
Yeah, it would just kind of be one of those things where it's like a little bit, it's like too niche to put on the card for me. All right. So this guy, he's not, I don't know much about football. But I know he's not like he's like a defensive linesman. Is that just are those just called linesmen?
Either linesman or linebacker.
Let's go with the linebacker. Oh, that's not his trait. That's his subtype. The linebacker.
Well, as long as you're there, give him Miskatonic.
Yeah. Miskatonic. Nice. What's another trait we can give him? Because they usually have two, right?
Not always, but let's see. Yeah, because I think like Rita just has Miskatonic.
Nah, why fuck around? Just give him Dreamer too. Why not?
Maybe Assistant? I don't know.
Nah, it looks like it's probably just Miskatonic. You're right.
Or maybe give him Medic if he's like a med student.
Yeah. Huh? Nah, just give him Criminal. He has a bad pass. No, I think it's just Miskatonic for sure. But I mean, like, some of these are like backstory stuff too, right?
Yeah.
Like Believer, Chosen. Chosen for a scholarship. That's the same, right?
Maybe. Like I know Dexter Drake has Veteran just due to like one line about him being in World War One.
Yeah. Okay. 2, 3, 4, 3. I like the stat line. How about giving him some sort of engage ability like Keimani has, like the lightning bolt one?
I think that might step on Kamani's toes a bit.
Okay. So let's talk about his top ability because I like it. I think the top ability is settled for the effect. But what do we think about the limit? Do we like once per round? Do we like once per phase? Do we want to get funky with it? What are your thoughts on the limit?
I think once per phase opens up some play areas.
It is just like a little bit more exciting whenever it says once per phase, huh?
Yeah, because then you get a little extra something out of figuring out ways to move during like the enemy phase or mythos.
I like the idea also in like horror and high gear when you're forced to move if you're engaged with an enemy during the certain phases, you can like just tackle a car.
Strap him to the grill.
Yeah. Head right for him. Okay. All right, and now I'm just gonna grab her text for the back. Okay. We can start doing that, and then we'll figure out his name too. But that's always I always think a little bit less of that. Okay, so he is at deck creation. Choose Seeker. Or Rogue. All right. And then we're going to take this, which is going to be Survivor cards. 0/5, neutral 0/5, level 0 cards of your chosen secondary class. Most investigators have one type. Luke has 3, though. Classic Luke Robinson privilege. And then Sig. Okay, so now before we get into his other cards, what would I do with this guy? I mean, I would look at either Scout Aheads or like Shortcut. Shortcut seems really, really fun to play with. But in the Rogue class is an interesting thing.
Because he has that what's that new Rogue skill they added in Hemlock Vale that's just like 1 foot, and if you succeed, you get to move.
I know there's Nimble that has that, but there's also Light-footed. I don't know if that moves you, but I think that evades multiple guys. But I think there is that. Let me see Light-footed, because Light-footed. Yeah, Light-footed. Yeah, so that's the one that lets you evade multiples. But there is Nimble, the Rogue level 0 card that lets you move after you evade an enemy.
That's probably what I was thinking of.
I'm also just looking at that new, I'm looking at the specialist cards that were spoiled. Because there is, there's that one new specialist card that's like another Pathfinder. And I'm curious if there's any of those traits that would be good on him. Drifter, Hunter, Wayfarer. Odds are not good on that.
Nah, it'd be a bit against flavor there.
Yeah. But it's one of those things where, like, it actually also works really well for survivors because it's discard tech too, but that's a shame. That's actually a great question, the mate, and I actually think that's worth a thing for this. Instead of, like, limit once per phase, what if it was, like, once per round per enemy? There's 2 pers there, but it gives you that flavor of him, like, pushing, like, 2 guys back, you know? And I think that's interesting. What do you think of that, Beard?
I think it's worth testing.
Yeah, I think it like does that thing for like the players who are like, can I do this to like 5 guys at once, you know? Which is what I think every day when I see 5 guys, but in the game, like 5 enemies at once, like that seems like a fun like mechanical fantasy to try to make happen, right?
He's just tackling swarms of dudes in Dream Eaters.
Oh yeah, let's go. He's very good in Dream Eaters. He gets the shit beaten out of him, though. Okay, yeah, so like Nimble's, I think Nimble's a nice option. All right, here's an interesting question as well. What if he was 3 combat but 4 agility? Is there anything there?
I mean, it could work, but I think he'd run into the Rita problem of, are you damaging enemies other than your special?
That's a good point. Yeah, that's very fair. Nimble wouldn't work. He evades a guy. Yeah, I mean, I guess the idea is he can be evade with multiple. He can be engaged with multiple dudes. That's also, I was thinking, like the agility, where like how can he leverage his foot to use cards like Nimble without actually evading, right? Because there is that going for him as well.
True.
Okay, well, let's get to the real fun stuff and let's talk signatures. All right, hear me out on this as I'm initially I'm just getting some initial thoughts down. What if his signature weakness was task style? And he had to do something, but while it was while he had it in play, all enemy attacks were like direct damage and horror.
Yeah, it could work. And maybe also can't be canceled.
Yep. And he's like, I'm going to tackle 3 dudes to dust. But in that time, they're going to turn me into dust. All right, let's get a card. We should also name this guy. We're going to start with Steve. I know his first name has to be Steve, because that was his inspiration.
You know, it can be, but I'm thinking he should have like a nickname like Skids O'Toole.
Okay. Oh, yeah. Steve Crusher Johnson. Not that, but this is just like, I get what you're saying. I think that's a great idea.
Yeah, like, not even show the first name on the front, just have it in the flavor text on the back.
Okay, so yeah, just Crush. Can we call him just Crusher Johnson?
We could. I was thinking of the nickname Moose.
Oh, Moose. I like that too. Yeah. Excuse me, I would like you to, there we go. Yeah, okay, I think I just need to put a space there.
Trying to think of a big chunky last name to go with that. Like,
yeah.
I'm looking up a list here. How about Grissom?
Grissom, can you look up like yeah, I want like a, I don't know why, but I see this guy and I think he's definitely Australian too. So
yeah, it's just he's tanned and blonde. That's like the Australian look.
How do you spell Grissom? I just put it like the writer. Is there something else?
The one I was looking at was the first 4 letters, then S-O-M.
S-O-M. Ah, yes, yeah. Moose Grissom. I fuck with that. I think that's great.
He seems like a guy who who eats nothing but pot roast every night.
Yeah. Hell yeah, Moose. All right, I'm down. I think that's I think that's perfect.
And the flavor text in the back, he can be Steve Grissom.
Yeah. All right, new. Give me. We need like a treachery weakness. I guess it is what it is. Yeah.
Sorry, M8. He's going to have to versatile for that one.
Yep. All right. All right, let me look up task force. Sorry, no, not task force. The cover up.
I'm kind of glad we're going Seeker Rogue for that matter, because it seems like anytime any survivor is a fighter, they're like, all right, it's Guardian.
Yeah, 100%.
So, like, there's other options you can take for Survivor Guardian. But we want this guy to fill a niche that's not really being filled right now.
I mean, I guess I could just like with 3, like damage on it. Just get like the initial idea down.
I loved when he said it's tackle time and then tackled all over the place.
Yeah. We're only making the investigators. That's the current plan anyway.
We sometimes make auxiliary cards, like I made a Mystic Combat ally just because there isn't one.
Yeah.
But that was more for general use than for with Delphine specifically.
Alright, give me also just this. Just getting like the text for this in. Alright. I don't know. How do you think, like, he completes this task? Because I like the idea of a task, if we can find a good reason for it, a bit more than just like a traditional thing.
Maybe in this one he does have to carry about evading and exhausting enemies.
Oh, it's not tackle time.
Yeah, after he evades an enemy, he can remove a damage from that.
Yeah. Interesting. And I mean, like, it does work with his Elder Sign effect, right? Like,
yeah, his Elder Sign effect helps solve it, but it's not going to auto discard his weakness.
All right, let me just open up your art, the art you shared with all this stuff, and see if there's anything here that could, like, work. Or if you want to make it less punishing. I don't know. I like SIGs to be punishing. There was, like, one that you did, Beard. I don't remember the set, but it was like your explosive expert. And I remember their signature weakness just being like a puzzle you had to solve that was really clever. And after that, I was just like, yeah, that's the kind of stuff I like to see, you know?
Yeah, I like those kinds of weaknesses. They're fun to figure out.
And I mean, like, there's also, like, what I really like, too, is that this also works as really well with what he has in his kit. Like, light-footed survival instinct, right? And then also the green, the evade brute force sharp vision card. Forget the name of that card, but
it's the expeditious retreat.
Expeditious retreat, yeah. Like, those are all cards that can evade multiple enemies, and, like, this can trigger multiple times.
Also, if you want to do stuff like cheap shot.
Yeah.
Or now Bums Rush.
Are you intentionally not letting him take the new heading for the horizon? I actually looked at that, but none of the traits that are on that work flavorfully for this character. So unfortunately, we have to say no. Because I just don't think Hunter, Wayfarer, or whatever the last one was worked for it. Ripper. How do you discard it? Oh yeah, good call. Good call. Yeah, I have to put that in there for cover up. Thank you. Find the same text.
Yeah, I think you can do in the Revelation, if there's no damage, not discard it.
And if we get it to, like, one word, a better title than It's Not Tackle Time, of course. He could be assistant trait as linesman assist the quarterback. We actually, that was one that Beard said, assistant could work for this thing, too.
And could feed into whatever he does at the college.
Yep. So now I see, okay, so here's, like, I was about to ask a question that I was going to be like, I see now why FFG sometimes get into these things where, like, wait, how does the card actually work? I was like, do we really need to say enemy here? But I was like, no, we do. Because if you get rid of enemy, it's like, wow, like, look at that. But
yeah, you and Daniel covered evade being an overloaded word.
Yep. Put its tackle time and playing a threat area with 3 damage on it. What if we did something like this as well? I think it's going to be the same. That looks better, right?
Yeah.
And I think it still gets the point across. So I think that looks nicer, and like it. Maybe we can find, instead of like we just use clue tokens again.
That could work.
Yeah, just because the
For a name, just try bogged down. It's not one word, but it's a little shorter.
Heck yeah. Does it need to be discarded once the damage is gone? No, I think tasks should not get discarded. It's a side quest to like change up your game plan. And then when the side quest is done, it's done.
Yeah, like with Cover Up and Skid's Hospital Debts.
Yeah. Okay, I dig this. I think that's a nice little thing, because the other thing too is that feasibly, if you're not using things like, so like there's 2 ways, right? Like there is the survivor rogue way of solving this problem, which is using a lot of the rogue evade tools in addition to the survival evade tools. And then there is like the seeker survivor way of solving this problem, which is all your moves are like lightning bolt moves, and then you are just healing the damage when you trigger it otherwise, you know?
Yeah.
So I think there's 2 ways that you can easily approach this depending on your stuff and the paths you take. Okay.
So that's a good baseline.
Yeah. Any thought on signature?
Well, I think it should definitely be an event, but I'm not 100% sure.
Hey, Lucas, 15 months at the Golden Table. Thanks for your support.
Something to enable his ability, of course, like maybe something that, like, well, since he doesn't get Riot Whistle, maybe just like engage everybody and then move, and it doesn't provoke attacks of opportunity.
Yeah. Yeah, it definitely should be like a free move, right? Like it definitely should be that some sort of thing.
Maybe just like really go for it, like a free move, and I'll engage everyone before and after you move.
Yeah.
So you're just gathering up the whole pile of enemies.
What if we also did, instead of an event, what if we did like a Mirror of Bog Down where he could do something like 3 times? Like he could do that like 3 times. Not like to that power level, because that, like an event, we can put the power up, but if it was an asset, it could be like a engage an enemy and then move.
We could also give him a skill signature.
I always love a good skill signature.
Especially in Survivor, where you can recur them if we just slap an 8 on it.
Yep. Okay, let's think of a skill. Ooh, it being practice also sounds like a fun idea, right? Purple Manflies, right? Like a practiced tackle. Because then it works with practice makes perfect. Okay. All right, let's do a skill. Let's start there. It's neutral, none. Let's just go with it's tackle time again. All right.
Tackle part 2, the tackling.
I ain't done tackling yet. All right, I think practiced is a good idea. But there's also, I mean, it would be, no, I was going to say, it's like, but innate works better with the survivor part of him, right? And if we do practiced, you'll always want to play it with practice makes perfect, right? So maybe innate is better.
Let me check
That's interesting.
real quick.
Yeah.
I don't see anything that's both practiced and innate, unfortunately.
Yeah, I was thinking the same thing, but I feel like that is a little bit it's just, yeah, I was just like that seems like a custom faux pas, you know?
Yeah. There are some other ones in there, like practice trick for light-footed.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of practice expert for the upgraded ones, but I don't think he's an expert.
No. And innate is developed is the innate upgraded one, right? It might be for practice now too.
I think expert is the upgraded one, so for innate is developed.
Mm-hmm. Now, if we were gonna do practice, it was because he can play practice makes perfect. Oh, he could play that with stunning blow. Like that'll be a pretty sick thing. That works with his weakness as well.
True.
All right. Let's just put something in. I'll just put a little something in. Then okay. Oh, I like the idea. So then enemy location and deal it 1 damage. Then move to I like the idea of it turning into like a 2 once with his thing. This is a potential way we can go. It's not exactly exciting, but it is like pretty all right. I guess a may move, then you may move. Because if you don't want to have some of the things like that. I did, Brad. I'm going to talk about it a bit more at the end of the stream. I talked about it yesterday, but I'm going to record a little video about it at the end of the stream today. So this kind of represents like shortcut, coup de grace, and riot whistle like all in one card, right?
Yeah.
Hey Moose, how's it going?
Sorry, I'm looking for art here.
No worries. I'm also going to try that event too that you were talking about, the mass engage. I'll put down that. We can like also see that. Interesting. Okay.
Here, maybe this might be good to use.
Let's grab it. Oh. I think with this one I want to rotate it 90. Maybe.
I think I like it better horizontal.
Roger Dodger. Skills are weird where they have the most frame space.
Yeah, I guess they just figured they needed the least space on them.
I wonder if they've ever kicked themselves because of that decision. They designed like a crazy skill and then it was like, oh, actually, you know what? We don't have the room for this. I can get this actually looking pretty good.
Yeah.
Nice. Okay. 2 options that I just put from the idea. So the it's tackle time skill. If this test is successful, engage an enemy or location and deal it 1 damage, then you may move to a connecting location. Or the super tackle time, where you engage all enemies at your location, then you may move to a connecting location. I put in just the idea, if you don't move, shuffle its super tackle time back into your deck, just because I feel like this is just like a 1 riot whistle is probably not worth the value of the card, right?
Yeah.
Do either of these resonate with you more? I like the idea of the skill slightly more. I'm not like 100% on the text on it, like we could visit that. But I like the skill because it does have that survivor synergy if needed, you know?
I do like that, and it's much more rare to have signature skills as it is, so it's nice to see.
I like the effect of super tackle time because it works really well with his ability, but I do feel like the regular just skill its tackle time might be better.
As a baseline, this is like a little bit better than Vicious Blow with a little extra.
Yeah, exactly, right?
Because you don't like have to have another enemy there. You can deal it to the enemy you're already engaged with.
Yeah, exactly, right.
Combined effects, yeah.
Yeah, because we could even just be like, it could be like, this is pretty much the same thing, but I kind of like how this feels more like you're making plays, you know? If we even just remove all of this, right? Like, so no matter what, you're going to get one of these things. Is there a way, like, does this sort of sequencing text work for the rules of Arkham? Like, would it make sense, right?
Yeah, because that whole text block starts with the if.
Yeah. And then like the name is something like not this, but like playmaker, you know? It's like that kind of thing, right?
Yeah. Trying to think of if there's any other term that would work, because I know like the football playbooks,
Mm-hmm.
like buy the playbook or something like that instead of buy the book.
I'm down. I'm down for that. We can start with that, see if we get some in the future, but I like that. Buy the playbook.
And now, perhaps one of the more important questions: do we give him one copy or two?
My gut says 2. I feel like so actually though, here's the interesting thing, right? If we give him 1, I think giving it an 8 is good. I think if we give him 2, we might not want to give it an 8. But at the same time, it's probably okay for like a 3 XP card to allow you to do this multiple times. But it is a very powerful skill, right?
We can also give it innate develop too.
Yeah. Chat, I'd love to see your guys' thoughts on the card. Do you feel like this is a 1 copy or 2 copy? Because when we were like, whenever I see skill for a signature, like, this is about on par with on the home front, right, with Mark, right? And that's only a 1 copy. That one doesn't heal you, but this does deal like so like on an attack, this is essentially a brute force, right?
True.
Javier Altman says, make it myriad with 3 different plays, 1 in each card. I'd literally parked my car to write this. It does fit into practice better.
Yeah, I'd say make it practiced rather than innate, because that kind of takes a lot of the shenanigans out of it.
Yeah. In that case, I also kind of like the idea of it having 3 wilds, someone said, and then only 1 copy. I think Zoltar, I think that seems pretty reasonable, right?
Maybe rather than 3 wild, it's like Fistfoot Wild.
Fistfoot Wild.
It's like
so it doesn't help you as much
basically.
In like the Mythos phase. Like you have to still.
It doesn't help as much with investigating, but
yeah, it still could. I also like someone did say this should also be a tactic.
yeah, I get on board with that.
Yeah, I think the flavor on that is actually pretty good. I think if it's practice, I only want 1 copy. Fist, Foot, and Wild, and 2 copies like this is probably fine, right? However, oh, sorry, you go.
I was going to say that could work pretty well because of all the extra gravy you're getting from succeeding.
Yeah. However, I do want, like we did, we humored the idea with the signature weakness on Delphine. I kind of like the 3 different plays idea from that. Is there anything there?
We do have 3 effects there: engage an enemy, deal damage to enemy location, and move to a connecting location. We could split that up into 3 cards.
Yeah. Okay, but what if... Okay. Oh, so no, but we can't... I mean, is there any reason we can't myriad... I mean, I guess it's not necessarily myriad, right? It's just 3 copies.
Yeah.
Like, what if he had, like... Because he's the linebacker, right? What if, like, because they're both offensive and defensive, right?
Yeah.
What if he had a defensive one that was innate? Is there anything there? Is a great question.
By flavor, yes, but I'm not sure if there's anything that could help his play loop with that.
Like, what if it was just, like, heal a damage or a horror, right? Because then it's like you get a free use of his ability. Yeah, we're making Steve astute. Yeah, I'm going to say yeah. I'm not sold on it, but I do like the idea. That's what I'm thinking, Zoltar, too. It's like it might diminish it. Like I think it's very clever, but I think like having the 3 weaknesses for Delphine, I think it's like too much, you know? Because I think this is really nice. But my concern with practiced is just practice makes perfect, as always, right? Like, would I ever want to run the rogue class in his secondary class choice? But it's not innate. But there's no other like real rogue trait. Sorry, skill trait is there.
Well, there's trick.
I don't think this is a trick, though, unfortunately. It has to be practice, because he literally practices it. Turn it into
idea.
Yeah. It is a clever idea, but unfortunately, I think that's it goes into my what I always my biggest pet peeve with custom content is when there's just like too much. I like it when there's like very little.
Yeah, there's a guy on the Mythos Busters Discord called Shaheen who comes up with some very interesting investigator ideas, but each of them comes with like 3 to 5 signature cards each.
Yeah. Okay, I think just to try to curb practice makes perfect, I think we should only run 1 copy and do that extra wild that we talked about. Because, like, it's still good with practice makes perfect, but, like, having each practice makes perfect potentially hit one of these seems bad from, like, why would I want to run anything else, right?
Yeah.
So I think having only 1, so then, like, what are my other practice skills that I could hit in, like, I'd be playing, like, the clue getter side, because, but I guess actually that's an interesting question. How many practice skills can this guy actually run? I'm going to check that out right now. Because if the number is 6, we have a problem. All right, so it's level 0. Not level 0, we want. So Survivor. So he can play Long Shot, Stunning Blow, and we have to limit it. I haven't even looked at the secret cards yet. Yeah, he doesn't get anything on the secret side, but his Survivor thing's insane. So yeah, I think just 1 of is probably the way. Okay. Do you mind giving me the name of the artist in Discord? And I'm gonna choose this one, I think. Oh, okay, of the pictures you sent me, I kind of like the bottom left one of the guy running through, and there's like all the people. It just feels like there's a lot of people there. There's also that top middle one too, but I think that's less like bogged down and more just like a tackle.
So the artist for both the the investigator card and that picture chosen is J.C. Landecker.
Perfect. Awesome. Yeah, I think that one's nice. Yeah, I think that's a really I'm gonna just say I really like the playbook idea, but I think the downside that unfortunately, apart from the fact that it's an extra card that we need to put in and like those things, I think that works better. He's not really a skill-based investigator either. So like that's the kind of thing also. Yeah, I mean that looks pretty sweet. Because I think that would be a really good idea to swing in like a skill-based investigator.
Yeah, we could save that idea for one of the other ones because we haven't really decided on flavor for the remaining 3.
No, we actually no. This is the only one we had like a plan for. Okay, I think Moose is pretty sick. Ah, thank you. Did I not change the damage on this one? Thank you, Dice Gods. Much appreciated. We were about to do the full read-through, but now it's not going to be embarrassing when we get there. All right, let's talk about Moose Grissom. He's the linebacker. He's a 2/3/4/3. As a reaction, you have to move while engaged with an enemy. Deal that enemy 1 damage. Limit once per round per enemy. Elder Sign effect is +2. If there's a non-elite enemy location, you may automatically evade and engage it. His signature, sorry, his deck building is you choose either Seeker or Rogue. And Survivor cards 0 to 5, Neutral 0 to 5, level 0 cards your chosen secondary class. He gets 1 copy of his signatures, which is by the playbook, a practiced tactics skill that commits for a fist, a foot, and 2 wilds. If this does successful, engage an enemy or location, deal 1 damage to enemy or location, you may move to a connecting location. He just does a little bit of everything. And then Bogged Down is put into your threat area with 3 clues on it. While there are clue tokens on this card, treat all damage and horror from enemy attacks as direct, and as a reaction, after you evade an enemy, remove 1 clue from Bogged Down. And this is a basic weakness, which we do not want. We just want a weakness. I think this is pretty solid. I think this is a good... Again, like Delphine, there's a lot of avenues you could take this, and I think it's pretty cool.
Yeah, there's multiple ways you could build him.
Yeah. I think that's one of those things where, like, he's less exciting than Delphine, because Delphine, like, the snake was really cool, right? But...
I think survivors are inherently less... out there anyway, so
yeah. All right, I think Moose is pretty sick. I think he's a great investigator to add to this and what I really enjoy as well is that you feasibly could build him as a really good flex where, like, when an enemy comes, you're just like, all right, I don't care, I'm getting clues, you're coming with me, you know, and he just like keeps moving and just doing stuff. Hell yeah.
Yeah. Good stuff.
Sweet. All right, well, Beard, another successful investigator design. What are the classes we have left to do? So we have, obviously, Guardian, Seeker, and Rogue, but what are their off classes with our breakdown?
I have pinned it here. Let's see. Our Guardian is going to be Seeker and Survivor.
That's cool. Skill-based, maybe? That could be fun to explore.
Definitely could. Our Seeker is Rogue and Mystic.
Rogue and Mystic. That I think that was part of the reason we chose that one too, was because Rogue Mystic, Seeker Rogue Mystic is a very interesting combination.
And then our Rogue is going to be Mystic Guardian.
That's fricked up too. That's going to be fun.
Yeah, I have no idea what direction to take the flavor of any of these yet,
nope.
But it's definitely
cool. But that's not a question we need to answer today. We'll figure that out you know, once we get to it. But thanks for watching, everybody. I hope you enjoyed this. I hope you join us as well for the next 3 that we do of this as we finish out the cycle of these investigators. I'm having a blast, Beard. This is really fun designing these cards with you, so I appreciate you joining me for this.
Oh, absolutely. It's been great.
And in the meantime, thanks for watching, everybody. Have a good one, and as always, a GG's.